delicious ultra-violence. Hello YouTube, I'm Darkest101, and today we are officially rounding off AniMonth. We touched on a lot of bases for this first run of AniMonth, but I can't do an anime themed month on this channel without going back to Hellsing. After over a year of waiting, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, Hellsing Ultimate. And since I've kept you guys waiting for so long, I figured we'd have a special double bill today. To finish off AniMonth, we're reviewing Hellsing Ultimate Part 6 and 7. I think it's time we got reacquainted with our good friend Alucard. This time, featuring some tasty, delicious, cold-blooded ultra-violence. Let's begin. Something I don't think I've mentioned in any of the previous Hellsing reviews I've done is just how damn detailed every single frame of this show is. Every motion of every character, every line is moved with painstaking precision, working in tandem with the phenomenal lighting to give a real sense of depth and mood to each scene presented. Something like a character narrowing their eyes, which in other animes might be represented as just that and nothing else, is shown here in every detail. Every line on a character's face, every shadow and highlight makes a fantastic image you could probably hang up on a wall in an art gallery. This is the mark of quality in an ultra high production anime like Hellsing Ultimate. It's shown to be the case throughout the series. This, combined with some amazing audio work in even the smallest actions and motions, are something you don't really take into consideration when watching Hellsing Ultimate for the first few times. Something that I have touched upon in previous installments of this review, however, is the music, which now not only fits the action that is shown on screen, but is now enough to raise the hairs on the back of my neck in some places. It is fucking fantastic work all around. It should also be noted that in the time between episodes 5 and 6 being aired, the dubbing team made the objective decision to give Alucard this multi-layered effect to his voice.
The aroma of men being impaled, of women being cut down where they stand, of babies burning to a crisp, of the old being lined up and shot. The decay of death, and the smell of war.
The episode begins with Maxwell literally watching London burn from across the Atlantic. Not gonna lie, that is one fucking awesome view. Wouldn't mind falling asleep watching that. And I live in London, alright? I'm serious, it's like the biggest bonfire ever. All we need now is some fireworks, a giant effigy of Guy Fawkes, and a crappy burger stand, and boom, best bonfire night ever. Apparently Maxwell doesn't agree, as he gathers roughly 3,000 knights from Catholic congregations across the globe to form the 9th Airborne Mobile Crusade. Which again, fucking amazing shot right there. This would have been a little more badass. Totally badass. As all this is going on, the Iscariot organization is finishing off the vampires who attacked Sir Integra at the end of the previous episode. When all that's done, Sir Integra moves to make her leave, which leads to one of these moments. These moments are fucking dumb, okay? They're annoying, they're obnoxious, they're the worst possible part of the entire Hellsing anime, okay? They're the most awkward and pathetic attempts at humor I've ever seen, and I watched Hetalia. Might have been a little bit harsh on Hetalia there, I am sorry, that came out all types of wrong. They're just so awkwardly animated, written and voice acted, and they're not even that funny. If it's an attempt at reliving the tension, then good fucking job, because you've robbed the entire episode of any sense of seriousness I felt before this point. It just sucks you straight out of the world of Hellsing and just reminds you, oh yeah, this is an anime, this is totally not one of the most badass shows I've ever seen. I just fucking hate them, okay? Anyway, Integra manages to convince the Iscariot forces remaining into escorting her back to the mansion. Little does she realise that the mansion is now under attack from Zorin Blitz. Jesus Christ, I thought PS1 era Lara Croft had square tits. Oh, and just so you know, this is the most badass scene in the entire episode. Ceres, armed with the Harkonnen Mark II cannons, single-handedly shoots down the enemy Zeppelin. Holy fucking shit, that is badass.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
And so is how the Wild Geese deal with Millennium. Rather than risk fighting them head on, they do the sensible thing. Blow them the fuck up. Just plant a fuck ton of mines and claymores around the grounds and blow them all to hell. Foolproof! Unless one of the vampires has magic hallucinatory powers that make her appear giant so you completely forget to lay down suppressive fire. What are the chances of that happening? Diablos Nex Machina! Away! Anyway, Zorin has these demon powers she uses to distract the Wild Geese and Ceres long enough for Millennium to storm the Hellsing Manor, leaving us with an interesting predicament for the episode to round out on. And that's pretty much it for episode 6 of Hellsing Ultimate. I know it doesn't sound like a lot happened in episode 6, and really that is the case, but it was presented in a way that made it feel like so much more was happening all at once. The Vatican on the move, Alucard making his way back to London, Integra in the custody of Anderson, and Hellsing HQ under siege from Millennium. The music was amazing, and some of the visuals were just fan-fucking-tastic. It also gives us a look into the mind of Captain Bernadotte for a brief period, and looking back into the past of Maxwell, giving us a small look at why the leader of Iscariot is the way he is. All these things considered, guys, I think episode 6 is a pretty badass and fantastic way to open up the second half of the Hellsing Ultimate OVA, and it easily gets it a dart rating of 77.
Sounds about right.
No time to waste, let's keep this hype train a-rolling. Episode 7, people! Episode 7 goes into some fucked up shit, man. I mean, people get fucked up. I can practically taste the ultra-violence already. I have got to stop doing that. The episode starts off with a little backstory of Captain Bernadotte, showing that he comes from a family of mercenaries going back to at least his grandfather's time. Really, however, that's not what this episode is dedicated to. This episode is dedicated to the Wild Geese getting their skulls caved in, hearts stamped out, and brains splattered all over the Hellsing mansion, and loving every damn second of the fight. Which begs the question, where the fuck Ceres actually went. I mean, at the end of the previous episode, she left the Wild Geese to go flank Millennium forces. But in this episode, she's constantly playing catch up. Which is really fucking weird, because later on, when she actually does catch up to Millennium, she pretty much slaughters all of them in one fell swoop. I mean, yes, she does use all her ammo in the process, but she straight up butchers them and all other Millennium soldiers she comes across along the way. And honestly, it's fucking stupid that even the Wild Geese can't put some of these vampires down. I mean, episode 2, the Round Table Conference killed Jon Valentine with handguns. Fucking hell, Integra takes a few pot shots at him with a revolver. I get, he had his arm ripped off, and technically no, he wasn't killed by them, but he was taken down for the count. These were essentially civilians taking pot shots with probably no military experience, armed with semi-automatic pistols, and most probably not anti-vampire rounds, otherwise Jon would have been ashes by the time he hit the floor. How are these professional mercenaries armed with fully automatic weapons and most definite anti-vampire munitions not able to hit a single one of these bastards? Fucking hell, just spray your load everywhere and just cover the whole area. And I had to finish that rant off with a good old innuendo, didn't I? Anyway, like I said, Ceres rips apart Millennium till it's just her and Zorin left. And then Zorin pulls some of her weird voodoo shit and shows Ceres the day her parents were murdered. And when I say murdered, they were fucked up. Her dad was shot in her family's own home by two thugs before they proceeded to shoot her mother to death as well, and when Ceres attempted to fight back, she was shot herself and had to watch as her mother's corpse was raped. Puta madre sant. Japan? Japan, go home, you're drunk. Japan, I don't fucking consent to any of this. Holy Fuck! I need a drink. Jesus Christ! And on top of that, Zorin cuts off Sarah's arm and then cuts her eyes open on top of that. 'Cause that's not overkill, you know? Why does this episode set its mission out to torture Sarah's Victoria? Why? The captain, however, arrives to drag Sarah behind a wild geese barricade after slugging Zorin a good one across the jaw. This, however, doesn't stop her from cutting him open with her scythe through his back. Oh, and more Millennium reinforcements arrive just to make everything even worse. Diablos ex machina, away! However, the entire episode reaches its head when Ceres, infuriated by the words and actions of Zorin Blitz, and inspired by the captain's final acts, drains the remaining lifeblood from his body, and in doing so, becomes a fully fledged vampire. And then, she fucking wrecks house, rips the Millennium Forces to shreds, and then grinds Zorin Blitz's face to a red paste on the walls of the Hellsing mansion. Police Girl is fucking hardcore!
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
With an arm made of shadow matter and a new snazzy red uniform, Ceres takes flight from the ruins of Hellsing and sets a pace to London, thus concluding episode 7 of Hellsing. And that's pretty much it for episode 7, and what do I think of that? Well, this episode primarily deals with Ceres and the Wild Geese dealing with Millennium, which feels like a superficial filler plot if you can actually believe. I mean, yes, Zorin's defeated, but that doesn't really feel like much of a victory, as the Hellsing mansion is left in tatters, and a whopping 2 members of the Wild Geese are left alive. Ultimately, this episode is left for the captain to die and for Ceres to turn it into a proper vampire. London is still on fucking fire! Even the action in this episode doesn't feel as awesome as it did in the previous one. We had Ceres shoot down a fucking Zeppelin in the previous episode. A Zeppelin! And on top of that, we had Zorin become a freaking giant. Yes, technically it was an illusion, but even so, this episode is a lot of guns being fired, which isn't even that interesting because no one who gets shot ends up dead. There's not even a lot of creativity done with the vampire kills on Millennium's part. It's all teeth and fucking bayonets. Again, the only redeeming feature is Ceres after she transforms because, as mentioned earlier, she fucking wrecks house. Admittedly, there is character development in Ceres and the captain here, but the captain, it doesn't really add a whole lot more to what we already knew about him. And Ceres, it is just fucking relentless. It is unnecessarily cruel. I mean, if a child actually had that backstory, she would be in a fucking mental institution, not in the police force. I think she would have been disavowed on that alone, alright? It's unnecessarily cruel. I know I rave about the ultra-violence, but there's a line, alright? And with that in mind, this episode of Hellsing Ultimate gets a dot rating of 58.
How does it feel having someone fuck with your head?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, rounds out our first year of AniMonth. I'm going to miss talking about anime, but we could probably talk a little bit about it in between AniMonth next year. I mean, it's still got 3 more episodes of Hellsing to do. Next week, we're going to be going back to our usual running order of whatever the fuck you guys can suggest, starting with... I thought it was a TV series. I thought I was going to be talking about the TV series. I'm going to have to rewrite that script now. And I'm going to have to order a fuck ton of vodka. Anyway, guys, if you have a suggestion for a later review, please drop it in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Darkest101. You have been watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Good night, YouTube.